Previously on Artistic Workout, a chicken would do it better.
I'm not doing an interview with a chicken. My dear bike ride, Vistula River. Show your face. My name is... Our star is missing. I'm so impressed with myself. I just mixed paints. Picasso. I discovered black. And each time when I don't know what color to use, I use black. I don't know what happened. I guess it's the magic of YouTube. Their parents. I make spelling mistakes in every language. Quit smoking and buy orange. Save on medical bills. I never quit smoking because I never smoked. In the age of dinosaurs. You know, when I was going to school, I had to fight them on my way. The monitors with a butt. Triad. Very intellectual. Manipulative as I am. Yeah, the mastermind. Come on! Broke all the rules. He's an adult. He can go to jail. Your sentence. Because it's gonna be stinky. So if you want to make the teachers suffer. Hello, welcome to the new episode of Artistic Workout. My name is Bartosz Milewski. I have a doctorate degree in painting from Fine Arts Academy in Kraków, Poland. I also have a master's degree from the same school and a BFA in painting and videography from Cornish College of the Arts in Seattle, Washington, United States of America. I paint, I draw 1,000 sketches a year about, and my passion is also to teach. But perhaps I'm not very passionate about this episode because this episode is going to concern constructive drawing. It is very important. It is, I would say, it is absolutely necessary to understand constructive drawing. But I have to film it. And it is not that easy of a task. Okay? So, and what do you think is constructive drawing a necessary thing?
Students bad, they keep their eyes on the paper. They should be looking at what they are drawing at least each second.
That's true. You're right. They are not looking at the object. And I tell them every second, every other second at least. And you know, they think they are smarter. They think they know better. Can you imagine?
Don't make me laugh. A chicken would know better.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, anyway. So, constructive drawing is used in a variety of fields of drawing. Whether it is an elaborate version of constructive drawing or a somewhat simplified thing, like measuring just a little bit, having an axis just vaguely drawn, and so on. Even more so, it is important that you learn constructive drawing, this way of thinking about things, and that you practice. Well, once you practice, it is becoming more automatic. Am I using the right word? Not so conscious, and you don't struggle with it anymore. It becomes intuitive and fast. You know, I have this in the frame, the lamp, and I see an axis here subconsciously. My trained mind is starting to divide it into simpler shapes, simpler forms. So I have one axis here, and another one here, and another one here, and another one here, and then I'm conscious about the proportions of this. this. How much do I have? How much of this do I have in this? Or what's the height to the width? But one might say it is a bit of a nonsense what I'm doing right now, because I'm touching the lamp with the measuring device, which is a pencil. Sometimes it can be a pen. Anyway, something that resembles a straight stick. That's your measuring device. And you can measure with it on your extended arm, like this, right? You can also use it as a plumb line to have an indication where the vertical line is going to cross this and that. You can also use it to transfer the angle, in this case the angle of the angle or the direction, the angle of the axis of symmetry of this part of the lamp. So I can do this and then move it somewhere where a piece of paper is. Would it be on an easel that is somewhere by my side, or I would actually have to transfer it to paper that lays ahead of me on the desk. So a good idea is to double or even triple check everything. So if I carefully adjust the angle, and pardon me if I'm a bit off because the screen is small. I transfer it with a lot of care. Have to be firm in my grip. See that? So let's say these are 3 things that you can do with the pencil in your hand. And especially for measuring, you need this arm to be extended and fully extended. Because if you measure like this, then your next measurement can be like this or this, and you don't have the consistency. You will make the mistakes. But again, triple check everything. It's not a laser device with an atomic clock. It's just a piece of a stick. However, this ancient method is very effective. That was 3rd thing. Maybe the order should be slightly different. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but it is done on purpose. First, you measure something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In drawing people, you actually use the head from top of the head to the chin as your measuring unit. It's not 0, this is 1. I have to be precise, but the screen is small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 and a half. Taking into account perspective. So that is 1. Measuring. 2. Finding the angle of something and transferring it onto paper. Be it in this direction, or actually you have to put your hand down on the paper, on the desk. Number 3 would be to go with this angle, so extending the axis. So now I can see that if I go with the axis here, it will cut through the side of the head somewhere here, and I'm also interested in perhaps where it will cross the axis of the head itself. Number 4, the plumb line. I'm holding the pencil somewhat loosely. Of course, I still want to keep it. I don't want it to fall down. Let's say I'm interested in where the hip is in relation to the head and the shoulders. So the hip is on this width somewhere here. In other words, I use my plumb line for vertical alignments. Same with the knee here. Okay, something that I wanted to add. Angle does not have to go through the form. It can also go through thin air or some parts of the space here, see? That is also a useful information. What's the angle between this and this? So that this is the angle. The constructive drawing relies on simplified versions of reality, that is, on simple shapes like... Oh, I'm repeating myself, okay. Look at my other videos, by the way. A ball or a sphere, same thing. A cylinder and a cone. Rarely you have something more of a cube, but usually there are these three rotating simple forms from which you construct everything in a simplified way. So from axis you move actually to a simplified form drawing. I'm sorry for my tone of voice, but I'm a bit cold and a bit stressed out because these very simple matters require very good communication, I think. So what I usually do is I ask my students to draw a cup, a mug rather, to measure and then to draw it. But a few more words of explanation what the drawing is. Imagine this plane of glass is exactly at the reach of your extended arm. It isn't quite, but for the sake of argument, your extended arm is where your invisible glass plane is. On a real glass, I could, provided I have a marker, I could just draw, trace everything, thus creating a drawing. Of course, my position has to be fixed. I cannot do this, right? Because if I do this, then I will lose the proportions. My canvas or my paper is not here. It is actually somewhere over there. So I need to carefully transfer everything to my paper. I don't have to transfer it in the scale of 1:1. Here, for example, I'm not interested in how much on a pencil this height will take, but obviously or not. I'm very interested that this proportion to this proportion is 1:1. So recreating it somewhere, so I'm interested in proportions, but not the scale. So that is the idea behind drawing. It is a three-dimensional reality projected onto a flat surface that is within the reach of your arm. The larger the glass, the more curved it would be, the invisible glass. And I will illustrate these principles. My 2H pencil. Do you know how difficult it is when somebody's watching and the telephone is in the way? I'm glad I actually, this extended arm for holding my phone actually is very useful now. So I'm not using a ruler. With a relatively light touch, although I have to be visible on the screen, I make, okay, now I used it. I have to make a vertical line, and because my touch is light, I can correct it. Then, let's say I thought about the composition, which I haven't really in this case, because I'm demonstrating how to do it. So now I need a very straight horizontal line. I can even use dots. See, it is worth correcting like crazy. I know it takes time. I know your colleagues are starting to draw and you're at this stage, but it's like building a firm foundation for the future house. Your house will stand strong. Repeat, my house will stand strong. Repeat after me, there is no talent. There is no talent. There is only work and good methods. You have the upper line, you have the vertical line, and you don't have the scale yet. What you're doing right now, or I'm doing on your behalf, no, I don't need to. I'm deciding what my scale is going to be. Ta-da! There's the point of no return. Why? Because everything now is in scale. And what you need to do is you need to transfer this to the other side, to here, and triple check it. My voice is starting to sound so strong and demanding. Wow, it's so sexy. Pardon me, I'm talking to myself. And I have to, make myself like myself. Okay, so this is the top. Again, is it right? Actually, why not? I can have another line here. Doesn't hurt. So let's say I'm not very sure that this is exactly right. I just need an extension of this width here and here. Now I'm interested in the relation of height to width of the mug. So as I said before, what interests me is this width in the widest part, but of the cup without the handle. In Polish we say ucho, which means an ear. One is here, see? And then, so that I would have to put on the paper. I need to mark this point, see? So that's my one. And if the proportion is right, then I have 1 1/4. So this is a half. Now I need a quarter, and I need to eyeball it and find something that fits here twice. So, but remember, if you're struggling, all these processes will become more fluent. You will see more, you will measure better, your eyeballing also will be better. So don't be frustrated and don't take huge steps right at the start. Small steps, perhaps start with half an hour a day or less, 10 minutes. So let your brain adjust, okay, to the new tasks. And then you will, after a while, it will start craving for it. So, okay, this is my bottom. This is the top, this is my bottom. So the ellipse, this, the height of the almost ellipse, because it's a bit more flat on the top than on the bottom because of the perspective. But I'm interested in this ratio. So it's 1, okay, and now I have to flip it. Camera, please don't do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and something. So less than a quarter is the height of an ellipse. So this is a quarter, less than a quarter would be here. Okay. So in measuring, you also come up with your own ways, because you know the basic rules. The rules remain the same, but the order of things, where to start and where to stop, is different. Okay, so actually if you want to divide it equally, then this is the half, because I'm using a diagonal line. So the axis should be slightly above the half. Slightly, okay? So I'm looking here, this should be equal to that and that. So yeah, I have the axis, okay? Now I need to draw the so-called ellipse. No pointy business. So how to do it? So I came up with this idea, and it turns out I wasn't the first one. So I start here, round, here, round, and here, and here. So it's not, we're not making an ellipse like using your trained hand, but you're actually doing it in a slow way with dots. I don't use an eraser. I'm just, okay, being very delicate. And now this has to be the same as this, and this has to be the same as this. So I have twice as information. I have negative space and a positive space. Negative and positive. So this symmetrical to this symmetrical to this symmetrical to this, and this symmetrical to this. And top to bottom almost symmetrical. Not, okay, not exactly, but close. Okay. You know, I thought it was boring, but I'm starting to like it, actually. Yeah, okay, see? And I don't even finish it because it's my 2H sketch. So it's not like my final drawing. This is the bottom. So I'm kind of, I can go there and check, but I'm kind of eyeballing it, you know, like, okay, if this was a cylinder, that this part should be taller because we're looking down, but it's not a cylinder because this part is narrower. So I'm kind of eyeballing where the axis of the bottom part should be. And again, I'm very gentle with these lines. So this will be my axis. Now I have to measure here 1, 2. So this is half of the width, more or less. Or I actually need a quarter if this quarter is right. Why do I need a quarter? Because if this is half of this, right? This, then half of the half is a quarter, and I need this quarter to, oh, how convenient, okay, to be on the other side. So if this is my quarter, now I need to transfer it, and okay, I'm not using my, okay, I will use my left hand, I'm right-handed. Look, see? Da-da-da. Okay, am I sure? No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and it's okay. Okay, I don't want to sound like a smartass. I don't want to sound like a smartass, but I'm actually focused, so I get these ideas across. I don't bore you to death in the process, and I do it in such a way that, given the circumstances, you will remember the most. Okay, so again, this little arch, I can start from here and here, right, as the idea, and same. And actually, if you look closely at the cup, like this, this is a bit of a flat surface on top of on the bottom, actually, of the other shape, right? So so I can measure actually where I think that it's not that cylindrical. It is a bit of it has a bit of an angle. And do I use only one method of measuring? No! I also check it like this, using a plumb line. And what else? I can transfer the angle onto my paper, and this here also. What else? If I have more lines, guidelines here, one here, then I will be looking at two negative spaces of sorts. So a space between the edge of the cup or a mug, whatever, and this line. So symmetry, because this line is used for symmetry, right? Same here. I can triple check if on my drawing this and this is even. So let's simplify it, okay? In simple terms, this is it. And not so simple, I would have to go back to it and actually I would use my contour drawing skills to get this right. Okay. And if I have a line here, that's okay. So I have these control points, like here and here, okay. Same. I can draw a line real quick And okay, it's not. You see, you really have to take care of these 90-degree angles. Okay, so controlling. Yep, seems about right. So that's my this part of the constructive drawing. Now, ucho, the handle, okay, the width, and then I would be interested in what is the width of this to the remaining part of the cup, the mug. 2, 1, okay, 1 and 2, well, it's almost half of this. And I can also transfer the edges on paper. I can also find out where this is. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this. No, I had that. Okay. So for that I could actually maybe use a horizontal line to see how much below. I shouldn't be doing that because something can be very far away. But to see how far, just sort of eyeballing it perhaps, how far this is from this. So this is the width of the handle, the ucho, and I'm eyeballing, and you know, I will be precise with this. So this will be the height of the and remember, you're still sitting or standing still because you have to measure everything from the same perspective. So from my point of view, this is here. This is the 1 mark, and that's the so this one. This is the bottom of the handle. The ucho. I'm transferring actually the angle. The bottom will be something like this, maybe more. So see, that's the angle here, and I don't mind that. That's a guideline. It's not the final drawing. And okay. 2, 3. So actually, I measure that this. If I divide this by 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, here, then it will be, I forgot what. You have to be careful by looking at it because the handle has its depth. So here actually I'm following the contour, and I'm following the contour. I'm mostly looking at what is in front of me instead of looking at the paper. So perhaps this will show the work of my eyes as I'm drawing the handle. Okay, I'm even closing one eye. And of course I made a mistake. That is, which goes to show you that even when you're experienced and something new is coming along, then you still can make a mistake. So, but not such a huge deal because I'm drawing it lightly. So yes, I corrected the width, and if I'm drawing it lightly, then nobody will see. Nobody will notice. This will have value. And once I put value in it, my eyes still should work because I can still do some changes. Why am I speaking so slow? Maybe because I have to focus on it, and yeah. So what I'm saying, I put when putting value here, and I took a softer pencil, not very soft, but like a start, a 2B. It is still a great opportunity to alter the shapes just slightly. So remember, keep looking. This is also, okay. Let's take a look at my eyes again. Yeah, I don't exactly know what I look like when drawing. But I have an idea, more or less. So this lesson is not about value drawing, but I'm doing it just a little bit to show you how it is still the stage where we need to carefully look at the reality in front of us. So looking at the object more than at the paper. This is it. This line would be even softer, like these ones, but I was discussing it, I was talking, and also it's also for the visibility, although I'm not doing that badly. Okay, so this is the cup. This is the cup, and this is the cup or the mug, and this is the mess. Here are some quick examples of constructive drawing that I made for this episode. In the future, I will also demonstrate how to draw a wooden mannequin and a bunch of other stuff according to the constructive drawing principles. Once again, thanks for watching. Remember to share, subscribe, and like, and leave a comment. And again, subscribe and leave a comment. And like, and ring a bell. Put a bell notification. Thank you and goodbye.